Feedback. Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinga.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
And take us along with you. Feedback, feedback, feedback.
My question to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, as an African American, as a black man, when can I protest? When can I speak out? When can I show frustration and anger? When I march, you condemn me. When I talk on the internet, you condemn me. When I say it on television, you condemn me. Anywhere in the public square where black people talk about this, it just basically say a simple affirmation that black lives matter, that our lives have value. We are constantly ridiculed and criticized. When is the appropriate time? I would think the fact that it was an African American named Crispus Attucks who was the first sacrifice in what was the start of the Revolutionary War, that in every single conflict this country has ever had, black people have fought in it and fought with honor and valor, only to come home to discrimination and subjugation and oppression. I would think if anyone had the right to speak out against the injustices of America, it is black folks, because they have shed blood, sweat, tears, and toil for it. I come from a people who have died for the simple right to vote, for the simple right to walk down the street, for the simple right to use the same bathroom as their white counterparts. I have seen young men such as Damon Grimes in my city who was killed for riding an ATV. This was a child with a 4.0 GPA. Everything he was, everything he was going to be, everyone he was going to touch, every life that he was going to have impact for was snuffed out. And for what? A civil infraction? Is that what little my life has to you as a black person? Don't I have value? Don't I have meaning? Don't you look at me and see a man that bleeds the same blood that you do? And you treat my children that way? You killed him. You murdered him. And there was no consequence. There was no trial. Nobody was brought to justice for that. I went to that funeral. I saw that mother crying. I held her in my arms. We are angry. We are incensed. These are our babies. These are our children. A job as a man, as a parent, is to make sure that your child makes it and becomes what he wants to be. That's why we're protesting. That's why we're fighting, because we believe in the American spirit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're not protesting the flag. We thank God for the flag. Black folks have sacrificed for the flag. Hell, if it wasn't for black slavery, there wouldn't be a flag. You used us to build this country, and we didn't get any reparations for that. I'm still waiting for my 40 acres and a mule. And I know black folks who are upset about that, and they should be. We're not protesting the flag. We are using this opportunity because we know what the flag represents, which is freedom of speech. We know what the flag represents because we have sacrificed the most for America to be what it is, because it was built on our backs. So when we do this and when we're out here in these streets and we talk about Black Lives Matter, it's not to say that other lives don't. It's just so that you see us and you understand that we have value in all the things that we have accomplished as black people. The clock, the almanac, the baby buggy, the carbon filament in the light bulb, the telephone, the shoe lasting machine. All these things were built by black folks. The internet with Phil Eman Wally. all the things that we've done, all the things that we contributed, all the things that we sacrificed for as patriots, as fellow Americans and brothers in arms. All we're saying is just look at us. Love us the same way that we love you and love this country. That's all we're saying. We just want value. We just want to be heard. We just want our children to be able to walk up and down the street and not have to worry about them being killed and them being shot and them being murdered. That's it. Just value our lives, because Black Lives Matter. Thank you, Madam President.
And we are live. Happy Monday to everybody, everybody, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. My name is Theo Broughton, co-founder of Hood Research, and my co-host,
The Beatty, and we welcome you to the program.
and we also want you to have, what is that? They got to have.
Oh, have your pen and paper handy for valuable information you may want to record.
Absolutely, and we have so much information to share with you today. I want to say, the Beatty, there were just so many folk that I've been seeing here lately and meeting, and it's just been so exciting because there are those who will say, oh, well, you know, the city of Detroit is not doing well, and I guess they just want to go home and hide in the closet in the back in the dark, you know. Well, I don't think like that. I don't feel like that, and I enjoy being out in the community meeting and greeting people. I want to say good morning to Linda. I met Linda over the weekend, and Helen, and Bob, and I want to say good morning to Errol, get well soon, and good morning to Vera and Ron and Barbara. Barbara's doing really great. To Tom and to Les and, oh my goodness, who else? I know there's so many people I'm leaving out. We want to say
Sam
hello
Black.
to. That's right, that's right.
And
Yeah.
our brother from the east side.
That's right. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I talked to Jay Henderson, and his event is coming up next month. You know, I want to thank all of you for helping to support this program, and for those of you who are considering it, make your check or your money order out to Hood Research. But if you prefer, you can make it out to WHPR Broadcasting. We don't have any objection to that at all. But we would like for you to mail it to Hood Research at P.O. Box 4416, Detroit, Michigan 48204. Again, please mail it to Hood Research at P.O. Box 4416, Detroit, Michigan 48204, so that we can make sure it gets credited for this program. You know, let us see. This Wednesday, that would be the first thing I want to tell you about. This Wednesday from 5 until 8 p.m., Hood Research is going to have its first award program to single parents. We want to recognize single parents. It's been stated that 70% of the folk in Detroit are single parents. I don't know how they figure that out. Are they widows who are single parents? Divorced who are single parents? Well, whatever. That's what they say. In the meantime, we know that single parents can and do and are doing just as credible a job as a parent to parent home for their children as well. And we want to acknowledge this coming Thursday, October the 12th, Ann Ivory Calvert and Jeffrey Walker. That's this coming Thursday, October the 12th, Ann Ivory Calvert and Jeffrey Walker. Location is Burt's Marketplace, Burt's Jazz Room in Eastern Market. You know I would say Jazz Room, don't you? The address 2727 Russell Street. This coming Thursday from 5 until 8, after which you may want to stay and listen to jazz and just relax and enjoy yourself. Now, Saturday, I want you to say whoever you got to say hello to, and then I'll tell them about Saturday.
Well, I want to welcome again Sylvia Hubbard. She's going to be a future guest. Also, Sister Jackie, Brother Shane. Saw him yesterday. He's always looking forward to our show and the information that we share and impart. Brother Smith Bay, Brother Fred. Also, Ruth Ann. I passed you away yesterday, Ruth Ann. I know your son Tyson's there also. And I would also ask you to have any friends, relatives, neighbors, or co-workers to tune in now. We're looking forward to your participation.
Now, Saturday, you hear from time to time on this station a commercial for Bon Appetit. Bon Appetit is a catering company owned by Sean Watkins. Bon Appetit is here on Saturdays. And this coming Saturday, guess who's going to be here? Hood Research. Aha. Hood Research is on the road again. And we're going to be right here at WHPR with Sean Watkins and Bon Appetit. Now, for those of you who have not had an opportunity to enjoy Sean's food, this Saturday be a great time for you to do that. And what he needs you to do is to call and put in your request, your, what do you call it, reservation. You know, a reservation for a meal? Reservation. Anyway, the telephone number is 313-444-5048. Again, that's area code 313-444-5048. And now I guess you see why the media tells you to have pen and paper handy, because there are so many things that go on, and we want you to be able to jot them down on the calendar that you keep. This Saturday from 2 to 6, 444-5048. That's for a wonderful dining experience with Bon Appetit and Hood Research, of course. You got that? You writing that down?
Yeah, I was glad you repeated it, honestly.
See, everybody has to have pen and paper handy to jot down. That is extremely important. We are going to go over all of those things once again. There is a bus that's going to Lansing, and Reverend David Bullock is asking people to go to Lansing with him. I was hoping that he would be able to call in and give us the information. It's a cost, minimal cost for the bus, and then the date and the time, etc. But Thursday we should have that information at Burt's, and Saturday we should have that information here for the Bon Appetit experience. Now, we want to turn our attention to a guest that we have with us this morning, and Anita Bell. I hope that while you were waiting, you enjoyed that speech by Senator Coleman, Alexander Young II. It was so powerful, and on the website has received over, hear that word, over, 3 million.
That's right.
3 million hits. Now, Anita Bell,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And tell everybody just, who is Anita Bell?
Well, I am the president of the Reparations Labor Union, a local organization that's working on reparations for people of African descent internationally.
Okay.
Also, I am the female co-chair of the Detroit chapter of NCOBRA. NCOBRA is an acronym meaning National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. So, of course, the female co-chair for the Detroit chapter and a member of the board of directors for the National NCOBRA board. I am also the group leader for the Detroit chapter of the Green Party, and I am now seeking the Green Party's nomination for the U.S. Senate to run
Oh.
for office in 2018.
Wow, that's interesting. When you say you are the female co-chair, does that mean that your bylaws require that you have one female and one male?
Yes, we do. Yes,
Okay.
we do. So that is how we keep the balance. It's a balance of power. So my male co-chair for the Detroit chapter is Stan Bragg.
Oh, okay. We learn something new every day.
Yes.
Every day. And you always learn some new things when you tune into feedback and you're a part of Hood Research. There is a serious project that you are working on,
Yes.
and I need you to tell our audience about it.
All right. Back in August, I was one of the challengers for the August primary, and I was expelled because I wanted to use my phone. What I had researched before the primary is that 1,175 people in Detroit are registered to vote from addresses that belong to the land bank as vacant lots.
Huh?
So yes, that means that these people are saying that they live in Detroit, but they live on a vacant lot. And that lot was owned by the land bank. And so what we wanted to do as challengers was make sure that these people were not voting in the election.
Or freezing to death at the end of January. Go ahead.
Most likely these people are not living in tents. I visited a tent city, praise God. There's Resurrection City, but they are on a lot, a vacant lot that actually is owned by the pastor that's over that particular area, or they're on private property. They're not on public property.
Oh,
So
no
these-
land bank.
They're not land bank properties that they are on. And when
okay.
and when people who are homeless are registered to vote, they are usually given an address through some organization. Like there's one of the churches that makes sure that happens so that they have a way to vote. This was not an effort to suppress the vote or disenfranchise people. This was an effort actually to make sure that the people voting in Detroit elections are actually residents of the city of Detroit. So we wanted to challenge this. However, to do this, we needed to, in order to do it very quickly and not really slow down the election counting process, we wanted to be able to access this information on our telephone or any other electronic device. And we were not permitted to do so. Then when I made a telephone call to the Deputy Director of Elections, Gina Avery, I was told that because I am using my telephone, that was violating their new rules in regards to telephone usage, and therefore I was put out by 5 Detroit police officers.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
But wait. First of all, where were you that they were trying to put you
Cobo
out?
Hall.
Oh, and
Cobo Hall,
okay.
with the absentee votes, because we are sequestered in there.
Right.
And part of their, let's say, part of their purpose, they say, for not allowing cell phone usage is because you may be taking those, you may be calling to the press or the candidates giving election results. But the other, that's what they say, but it was 8 o'clock in the morning. So what election and results were we really giving away? These rules were changed in February after the Green Party recount that was sponsored by Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein, where that recount was all over the state. But we took pictures of some of the things we saw, like a garbage can being used as a ballot box in Ionia County.
What?
Oh, I didn't get it. Yeah, a garbage can, literally a garbage can was used as a sealed and locked ballot box. And that's Ionia County. In Wayne County, there was a ballot box sealed by duct tape. I didn't get a chance to get a picture of that, but the ballot boxes are supposed to be locked and sealed so that nobody can slip ballots in or take ballots out. If you use duct tape, then you can remove that duct tape and slip ballots in and out. And of course, I wanted to snap a picture of that, but that meant you have to have your cell phone handy. So what they said as a new rule, because the rule previously was you may have cell phones, but you are only to use them if you're not being a disruption and disturbing anybody. So the way they have now interpreted the rule is that any use of a cell phone is per se disruptive. And
Who made that decision? Was it a group or a board or what?
that was from the Secretary of State.
Okay.
Because the state of Michigan has been and should be embarrassed by the way elections have been handled.
You mean Ruth Johnson? Is that what we're talking about?
Ruth Johnson.
Yes, Secretary. Okay, go ahead.
So, all right. So that was the lawsuit that when they threw me out, I went to court and said, and this automatically goes in front of the chief judge, who is Robert Colombo, and said that it was improper, that the things that were being done were improper.
Well,
And that's the hearing that's coming up on Friday.
I want to know why they needed 5 police officers to remove
I
you.
know. I'm such a
5?
violent person.
Oh, good Lord. A
5
top for
police
each
officers.
limb, you know.
Well,
one for
oh,
your head.
oh yes, oh yes. But that's part of how they wanted to. It's the optics. They
To
wanted to make me
frighten.
seem like, and it did have a chilling effect on other
On you.
challengers, so that nobody then is supposed to challenge the election. So it had a chilling effect, and that was the purpose of it. But challengers are important because not only do we make sure that there is not voter fraud, and voter fraud is different from election fraud. Voter fraud is when an individual might be trying to vote twice. So let's say you voted absentee and then you came in and voted in person. That's voting twice. So that is voter fraud. But election fraud is when the election officials are violating the law. So that would be dead people voting twice,
Oh, my.
because usually they can't vote at all. So I'm sure, again, I'm not trying to suppress the vote, but we want to make sure the right votes are counted right, so that dead people are not supposed to be voting. And when they do, that's usually election fraud and not the voter himself or herself doing it.
I hope so.
I hope so. Hope so.
Did you just
So,
say that?
so part of the
Yeah.
evidence that we're going to be presenting this Friday would be that we looked at the voter histories, which come out after the election, and find who voted and if they voted absentee versus if they voted in person.
Okay.
And we found, even though we said 1,175 people were registered to vote from a vacant lot, we found that 1,091 voter histories were missing.
What do you mean, missing?
Good question. I don't know where they are. But compared to the official election results that are on Kathy Garrett's website for the county, there are supposed to be 1,091 more people voting than they actually provided me voter histories for. So there's a shortage. And I'm wondering, is that shortage the number of people that were voting from a vacant lot? We don't know.
Oh.
I just want to quickly ask our engineer to put the call-in numbers at the bottom of the screen, please.
And the second thing we found out was that 118 people, and this is your breaking news, Steve.
Uh-oh. Dun, da, 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 dun, dun, dun.
Breaking news. 118 people who were registered to vote at a vacant lot voted instead from District 1, City Council District 1. They were not vacant lots that they voted from. These might be maybe, I don't know what type of houses they were, but 118 people who were registered to vote in a vacant lot anywhere in the city all happened to move
At the
into
same
district and at the same time into District 1. Not only at the same time, but the same precincts.
Oh, okay. Now wait. Now let's see. Well, what's District 1 is generally District 2,
Northwest
I know
Detroit.
What that is. One. It would be what, Mound
Tate.
Road? Oh, that's right. One. Oh.
Yes, Northwest Detroit.
8 Mile Telegraph Road. Isn't that-
All the way
isn't
in.
that special?
Yes, it is special because usually if you're registered to vote at address, by law, you're supposed to vote where that precinct is. That you can't go vote at another precinct unless that is now considered a provisional ballot. And usually those provisional ballots are not counted. But these people, 118 people, were allowed to vote in District 1 when they were registered to vote at a vacant lot somewhere else in the city.
I've just got a quick question. What is a provisional ballot?
A provisional ballot is usually one of those, if you walk in to vote and you say, and they say, well, we need your ID. And you say, oh, I don't have my ID. Then sometimes they'll say, get lost. But what they're supposed to say What they're supposed to
Yeah.
say is that you can vote on a provisional ballot, and we either bring back your ID, or we'll verify you some other kinds of means, and that way we will allow you to vote. Those are one of the many uses of provisional ballots, so that they are usually not counted until they are verified.
Okay.
And so that could take up to 5 or 6 days after the election. In this particular case, 118 people, 49 absentee, and 69 voting in person were allowed to vote. And I'm saying, were they provisional ballots? And if they were, there were so many people voting for particularly precinct 251 and 252 that there were more people voting
Then registered in that area.
well, more people that were voting from these vacant lots than there could have been actually voting in that particular precinct altogether. For example, there were 66 people who voted in person in precinct 251, but about 76 people voted by this particular method where they weren't even registered to vote in that district.
Where's 251 located?
That's a good question, but it's going to be around 6 Mile and Strathmore, Lauder,
Okay.
that area.
And 252?
Probably very close to that area. Maybe on one side of 6 Mile and the other is on the other side of 6 Mile. Perhaps, because that would be the concentration of addresses in that particular Lauder, Strathmore, Ardmore, that area.
I got it.
We have a caller, but I want to ask now, if they're doing a provisional ballot, generally, most of us who are in the electorate, when we vote, usually they'll give you the, whatever the results are that night. So if there's like a 5 or 6 day span, they basically are just null
Not-
and void.
They're not including those
Okay.
provisional ballots. Along with the provisional ballot, you're also supposed to complete an affidavit, which is, how did you do all of that absentee? That's the next question. So there's a lot of questions that Janice Winfrey's office has to answer. How did these people vote someplace other than where they're registered, because that's unlawful? And then secondly, when they voted absentee, how did you get an affidavit from them if they're not there in person? So my question becomes, if you mail a ballot for somebody who's absentee to a vacant lot, the vacant lot doesn't have a mailbox. It's going to come back,
Right.
returned to sender. Then at return to sender,
Okay.
then it's still voted on, but it's voted on from another address?
Dum, da, dum, dum. Go to the phone line.
Okay, we got a couple of callers. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
The job seeker. Hello, how you doing today, Mrs. Broden?
Fine.
Okay, yes, I got an answer for District 1. That's my district.
Okay.
We were, when the 50,000 or 60,000 votes that was not included, not this election, not the last election, the one that when President Barack Obama came into the second term.
Okay.
And how I found out, we was up at that school on Roseline
Uh-huh.
and Dre Road. I can't think of the name of it now. In District 7. And Harvey Santana was up there. And I asked him, I said, why don't you send out any more of your literature? He said, I do. I said, no, you don't. He said, I do. I said, no. You're my state rep. He said, I haven't received anything from you.
Mm-hmm.
He said, what's your address? Come to find out, from Finkel all the way over to 96, from Ardmore over to, and you have to kind of like look at this, between Grand River, Schoolcraft, going down towards Grand River, Southville, and that Grandmont area,
Uh-huh.
they will get information from him. But then go over there on the other side of Schoolcraft to 96, and Grand River to Finkel. Those was we were the ones that never even got, our ballots was never even counted. And I know that to be for sure because I went to Cooley. And I still deal with my girlfriend parents. And I went and I asked them, did they vote? They said, yeah. And then again, my mother been dead for 10 years. She's still getting an absentee ballot. And I have, and you know, and I went
Okay.
there. I showed them down there that she was deceased.
Uh-huh.
You know, the death certificate. I showed them. You know, you have to write a letter letting them know why you don't want, you know, them blah 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 send the information. I still get it. So
Yes.
when I say yes, I'm voting for Garland and Gilchrist. She needs to get out of there. She's not doing her job. And I didn't get your name, Miss, but you keep doing what you're doing because I'm on top of Janice Winfrey when it comes down to over here.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is Anita Bell is here with us this morning. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Okay, you all
so
have a
much.
wonderful day. Okay.
And
All
my
right.
condolences on the loss of your mother. Um, However, you might want to check to see if your mother is still voting. And I know it costs money. It's like $75 to get a voter history. And just checking to see if she still is casting ballots. Because they do purge those records. By law, they're supposed to purge the records every 3 years. But we are now in a technological age where that can happen more instantly. Uh, that's the law has to catch up with the technology, quite honestly, so that if we can verify somebody is dead, that we may not have to wait 3 years to take them off the voter rolls anymore.
Well, I've been wondering if Ruth Johnson was working with the Russians. Okay.
Okay. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
My name is Mike Howell, and I was by phone, but I'm still trying to. And what's the top? I'm still trying to get the topic.
Oh, we're talking about the truth in voting on election day. Now, there in Connecticut, Michael, did you have a mayor recently who went to jail for RICO and he only got 5 years?
No, he got tried, and he didn't their conclusion was he's not going to go to jail.
At all?
No.
What? And we have a mayor here who went to jail for 28 years, and this one is not going at all.
Well,
You
this,
must be
this
blonde
state
hair,
have a
blue
nickname
eyes.
called Corruptica instead of Connecticut.
Huh?
So,
What?
Say that again.
Say
you know,
that-
instead of CONN, they put corrupt in front of it.
Yeah.
It's a nickname.
Okay.
And the nickname comes from all the politicians. We're very close to New Jersey with all the corrupt politicians that get caught in this state.
And he got caught. Wow. But
Yeah,
he got caught.
he
Kind of like.
his situation was that he had somebody in the political arena that that he did that donated to him and stuff like that, and he kicked back contracts.
Right.
So, yeah, so
That's
yeah,
what
so
this one
he
went to jail for.
so he came and did a personal favor to his house, his
Yeah.
personal house, and he didn't pay. He didn't pay for that, and then when he got caught, he sent money to almost like what Donald Trump the guys that took the government planes
Yeah.
to go to private
Yeah.
affairs,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then they try to pay the money back. Some of them try to pay the money back. He did the same thing.
Oh, so he was excused because he says he's gonna pay the money back.
Well, he did pay. He did pay the money back.
Oh, he
yeah,
did.
so I guess they,
Dang,
they kind of
That's
went
crazy.
easy on him.
Yeah, they did. If he'd go to jail, that's real easy. And the former mayor here went to jail for 28 years for the same
Yeah.
kind of thing. Anyway,
But
do
you
you
know,
have voter fraud
he-
there? Do you have voter fraud in Connecticut?
Or
That's
election
what the
fraud.
topic is. Yeah, election fraud.
Well, I haven't heard any cases in Connecticut because this is a liberal, a so-called liberal state. It's just everybody. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a huge majority vote one way. So it's not that much of a conflict.
Oh, okay.
Unlike your area, where
It's World War III.
there's a
around here.
diversity in voting.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know,
all right.
if you're a Democrat, you're pretty you're likely to win in most
You're
states.
safe in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Around
Yeah.
here, there's no telling. Okay, well, we're going to get back on the subject, which is election issues around here.
Yes.
So
Okay.
thank you for calling in.
Yep. You too. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a question for you, Ms. Bell.
All right.
Who decides the purging of the rolls, and is there anyone who's an oversight to make sure that it's done? I mean, I don't know if it's a bipartisan type of thing, or how do they do that for honesty and integrity of the?
Well, one of the things that we learned about during this court hearing, Daniel Baxter was allowed to testify, and he is the director of elections for the city of Detroit under Janice Winfrey. And so one of the things he testified about is that when people are inactive voting, so that means they're alive, but they may not be voting in every election, that they're not purged necessarily until they have not voted for 2 consecutive presidential election cycles. That means
that's 8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
8 years. However, when maybe dead people are purged, that might be something that is just handled within the clerk's office. And the other thing that they are arguing for this hearing that's on Friday in front of Judge Colombo at 9 a.m. on Friday the 13th is that
Oh,
yes.
Friday the 13th.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, the judge set that day. It was meant to be, I don't know, is
Okay.
it a joke? But
Okay.
it will be Friday the 13th for someone. But one of the things that they are arguing is that when the clerk's office receives the absentee ballots, that challengers do not have to be present when they check the signature on the absentee ballot, return ballot, against the voter file. The qualified voter file is where you registered to vote, and your signature that you use for voter registration is now electronically recorded so that they can double check the signatures. One of the things that we're saying as challengers is if we're not present, then we don't know if they're just letting any old bodies putting in an absentee ballot, put that in, and the signatures don't match, and therefore these ballots are now tainting the entire voter results.
Well, that reminds me of the mayor's election with the write-in.
That's the problem. That's the problem. There is a companion lawsuit that was filed by Marie Thornton. And so that companion lawsuit has affidavits where some of those challengers saw signatures, not for write-in, and maybe the coloring of ballots that just looked too perfect to be human generated. They looked like they were colored in by a computer because everything was just too perfect. Now, I'm sure there are the obsessive compulsive among us that's going to make sure that we're going to color in that very
Don't
perfectly.
go over the line.
We don't go over the line. There's no stray marks. We color in the entire circle perfectly. Some of us might do that, but not so many that it starts to look like wow.
Everybody around here is obsessive compulsive.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, anyway, we got to pause for the cause. This coming Thursday, for those of you who are just tuning in, know that Hood Research is doing its first annual event to lift up single parents. Single parents, we will be down at Burt's in Eastern Market. The address of Burt's is 2727 Russell Street in the Jazz Room. It's from 5 until 8 p.m., after which you can stay and enjoy the jazz if you like jazz. And this year's recipients are going to be Ann Ivory Calvert for the lady, and for the gentleman, Jeffrey Walker. That's this coming Thursday at Burt's in Eastern Market, 2727 Russell Street. And the time is 5 p.m. And we want you to put this on your calendar so that you can come down and enjoy us, enjoy her, enjoy the jazz, and join in with us as we lift up Ann Ivory Calvert and Jeffrey Walker. Then on Saturday, Hood Research is on the road again, and we will be right here at WHBR from 2 to 6, enjoying Bon Appetit. Bon Appetit Catering will be here on Saturday from 2 until 6. And what we want you to do is to call in and find out what the menu is so that you can purchase your meals when you get here on Saturday. The telephone number for Bon Appetit is 313-444-5048. Again, that's area code 313-444-5048. That's this Saturday right here at 150 Victor Street. 444-5048. We're looking forward to you being here to have the wonderful, tasty experience of Bon Appetit. Now, commercial over for the moment. And we were, listening to what you're saying, it seems to me that there's got to be several employees
Yes.
who are sabotaging the election.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
does.
know who. That's
Well,
something that's going to have to be the subject of a deeper investigation, because the only thing that we were actually suing about in this particular lawsuit was about the rights of election challengers, so that we would stop being removed. This is the
All right.
second time I've been removed.
By 5 police officers?
Well, no. The first time was just one police officer. I mean, I don't know why they keep removing me, but one of the things that I do, because we heard rumors,
Uh-oh.
we'd have to have an affidavit, but sometimes people are a little reluctant to give an affidavit in support of this. But the person said that Janice Winfrey's office promised them a $30 bonus if there were no challenges. So what that does is cause the employees to do all kinds of things to prevent there from being challenges. Now, the purpose of challengers is not to necessarily slow down the election, but to serve as volunteers. We're not getting paid, but we're making sure that the votes are being counted right. Now, there are laws that actually make it easier for somebody to sit there and target, especially black folks, and keep them from voting, or keep maybe people who are Hispanic from voting, saying, I don't think you should be able to vote because I challenge you as a voter because I don't think you're a U.S. citizen. That sort of thing is actually easier to do than what we were trying to do, is being in the absentee ballot area, where Tom Barrow has always said that's where the real shenanigans go on, in Cobo Hall, when you're counting the absentee ballots. They're pretending that we are protecting privacy because the people are not here to protect themselves. Really? The people aren't there to protect themselves, but the ones that we're concerned about are not the voters, but the ones counting the vote. And that's who is actually covering up and protecting themselves.
Yeah. And the ones who have all this IT experience, you have to look out for them too. Okay, next.
I just want
On
to
the
change,
phone.
but actually I want to change directions just for a second.
All right.
Now, when you mention reparations and then you mention internationally, who do you connect with internationally?
Well, there's a large movement going on internationally for reparations. And so this is beyond necessarily in COBRA and beyond even the reparations labor union, but looking at the international movements. For example, right now we're in the International Decade for People of African Descent. Maybe some people didn't know that, from 2015 till 2024. And some things are actually happening where the University of the West Indies, I believe this is in Jamaica, there's several branches, but I believe it's the Jamaica branch, actually has a center where they're studying reparations, where CARICOM has actually, CARICOM is the Caribbean community, actually has gone to places like Britain and demanded reparations and working on that. Brazil, because Portugal was the largest exporter of people of African descent. Brazil is even more culpable than Britain and France, but Brazil is where the most people from Portugal were taken. Portugal took the most people to Brazil.
Now, Brazil
And they
is
have
a majority
already,
black.
yes, and they already have reparations, and yet an effort is underway to take the reparations back.
Take
Wow.
it back.
Oh, that's another.
Where?
That's another television show in and of itself.
What did they get?
They
that
got
wanna
land.
Take back? Oh,
They got land, and
Okay.
so to take the land back,
take the land back.
these people are being killed.
Oh, okay. That yeah.
Yes,
That's
that's serious.
Well, you
yeah.
know, that's the imperialistic
That's
nature right
That
Yeah,
is.
that-
That is.
That has been going on forever and a day.
Yes.
And when you think about the cowboy days,
Yes.
same thing.
But reparations is not just looking at slavery, and slavery is not just being looked at as if it ended in 1865. We look at the things that have continued since then, from Jim Crow, from the segregation, from even incarceration, and those types of things. And so that when you look at reparations from a broader aspect, we're looking at it as how do you reconcile between the races and keep the wrong from recurring. So
Now,
that's,
does the UN or the World Court or anybody play a role in this?
well, there is that role that was played, so that the International Decade for People of African Descent had a working group that actually went to President Obama during the last year of his presidency and said to him that the United States owes African Americans reparations. So that was their finding after the research that they conducted.
Now say that again. Who owes who?
Okay,
Let's
the
see.
United States owes African Americans reparations. So it wasn't presented as this is a gift that you're giving us. It is a debt that is owed. So that was the finding that they concluded from their research.
Well, what I noticed is happening from time to time. All of a sudden, this word apology comes up.
Yes. Yes.
Got to apologize.
Yes.
Bill Clinton, before he left, apologized
Yes.
for the slavery here in America.
And other apologies have been made. So the House of Representatives, Congress apologized. The U.S. Senate apologized in 2009. But one of the caveats they added with their apologies is that neither one of these apologies should be construed to be that we are owed reparations. And that's sort of like an empty apology. Sort of, we're supposed to just forgive and forget, and that debt that is owed to us goes unpaid. And yet, when we owe money, we're
But they're not
foreclosed
gonna
upon.
forget that now.
Our cars are repossessed. We can't just say, "Oh, I apologize" to Chase Bank if we owe them for the house.
Yeah.
And they say, "Well, I accept your apology. You go ahead and keep the house."
Yeah,
That doesn't
that's
happen
not
for us.
happening.
Oh, nice.
And gentrification has been going on forever and a day.
Yes, and that is a recolonization, I call it, of Detroit. The recolonizing of Detroit.
You know that when Cobo was mayor here, he was mayor, somewhere around 1953, I think up until 1957. He's the one responsible for I-94 freeway,
Okay.
destroying a black neighborhood.
Yes.
I-75,
Yes.
destroying a black neighborhood. And when many of our people lived in Paradise Valley and Black Bottom,
Yes.
they had thriving businesses.
That's right.
They had all that they needed within that area. But oh no, Cobo was not satisfied with that.
That's right.
His idea was to get the black folk out of town. And of course he was a crook, but he dropped dead before they could put him in jail. I just thought I'd have to tell you all that little bit of trivia this morning.
Well,
And not
history-
only that, history what?
Well, history saves us if we know it.
Well,
That's
yeah,
right.
that's true.
That's right. If we know it, history saves us.
And what they also got to add, I hope everybody knows by now, that Christopher Columbus did not discover America.
No.
He never even came to America. Maybe he'd been drinking too much on the ship, but nevertheless, he was trying to find India. He went way off course, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That's why he
boy.
called the people he found here Indians.
He tried to pass that off as where he was like, that's not working. And you know when the country was what was it, 300 years old? It's been a while now. They didn't even celebrate the birthday of America because of Christopher Columbus. And they didn't even celebrate. That was a little strange. They had this cute little elephant on Telegraph in front of some, I think it was a dealership. They painted the flag on the elephant. That was red, white, blue, star, striped, the whole bit, But they couldn't have the kind of elaborate celebration that someone wanted to have. And Thabiti was telling me this morning that at Wayne State University, there's a group of Native Americans that want to change the name from Columbus Day to something that's more acceptable to
Native
them.
Celebration Day.
Yes,
Native
Indigenous
Celebration
Peoples
Day.
Yes.
Indigenous. And I think that's fine. Let's serve them well.
We do have a caller.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Yes, this is Tyrone. I'm just calling to let you know that Comcast at the station have totally turned the volume down. You can't hear it.
What?
Okay.
Okay, now.
Call 868-6612 and let them know, okay? The volume on Comcast is down. That's what you said, right? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, I want to let everybody know that Hood Research has a website, hoodresearch.org. We have Facebook and Twitter and all the bells and whistles, think tank, etc. And we ask that you take some time to log on and see what's going on there. In the meantime, this coming Thursday, Hood Research is going to have its first annual acknowledgement of single parents. And the single mother this Thursday is Aunt Ivory Calvert. The single father is Jeffrey Walker. And that event is going to take place in Burt's Jazz Room in Eastern Market, 2727 Russell Street. And we want you to come on out and help lift up our single parents and to know that it's something that we need to be involved in, just wrapping our arms around our community and applauding them for their hard work, for what they have to do, for the years that it takes to raise a child to the level of adulthood. Then on Saturday, Hood Research is on the road again, and we will be right here at WHPR with Bon Appetit. Bon Appetit Catering is owned by Sean Watkins. We will be here on Saturday from 2 until 6, and we encourage you to call 313-444-5048 and put in your order for the dinner that you would like to have on Saturday when you get here. Again, that telephone number is 313-444-5048. And we're looking forward to supporting it. As you know, Hood Research over the years has looked forward to supporting our black-owned businesses. And for those of you who don't know, Hood Research is 25 years old this year. That's
All
right.
Congratulations.
So, well, thank you. And and so I want to say thank you to Anita Bell for being with us today.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
you're welcome, hon. And to say it's not necessary for you to know everything. What is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. We encourage you to join Hood Research as we seek out as much information as we can to share with you. And it helps us all make better informed decisions. To be.
If you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're finished.
Tune in again next week. Thanks for being here today. Peace.